Hey, welcome back to another episode of Open Shutter, the last one of February. So this year's been flying by. Maybe it's not just me, but tomorrow is a leap year. So that's an interesting nugget for all of us out there that tomorrow is not March 1, it's February 29th. And you're on another episode of Open Shutter, a creator-focused podcast where I like to talk to creators about what we do, why we do it, and where we want to go with it. So I have the pleasure of welcoming Tony on. He's a local Toronto photographer, and he has some really great work. So I figured I reached out to him on Instagram and asked him if he wanted to come on, and he said yes, which is great. So thanks, Tony, for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Honored, yes. It's my pleasure. Maybe for the people that don't know who you are, maybe a quick intro about yourself.
Sure. Before we get started,
Yeah,
one of the reasons I came on
I love it. Okay.
is because I have a connection to you,
Okay.
because you have one of those last names, as
Yeah.
I do, that most Canadians wind up tripping over.
True. That is true.
So,
We have something in common besides photography.
yes.
But your last name is easier than my last name.
Uh,
Yeah. Bartolomeo? Bartolomeo? Am I correct in that?
Dibartolomeo.
Dibartolomeo.
Yours is Yogochian?
Yeah, it's close enough.
How do you pronounce it?
Yaguchian.
Iguchian.
Yeah.
See? Simple.
It's like
But
Italian Armenian.
Yeah, I'm sure. Grade school, your teachers would start as Paul.
Yeah, they call me worse names than that, but
Yeah.
you know how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we have something in common besides the camera.
So, sorry, what was your question before I
Yeah,
sidetrack?
just maybe a quick intro about yourself, like who are you, what you do, kind of thing, for like photography kind of thing.
So, my name's Tony Dibartolomeo. I started. I guess I'm a relative newcomer to the photography journey.
Okay.
Started about almost 3 years ago.
Okay.
Totally on a whim, went into Henry's camera store and was looking at some used cameras and walked out with one. And
What'd you get?
I got a Canon T7i used with a kit lens.
Yeah.
Went out, took some shots, heard that shutter noise.
Yeah, and you're hooked.
Got hooked on the crack.
You got hooked
Went
on the
home,
crack.
looked at the shots and was like, "Oh God, these are not very good." And then sort of evolved from there and got a Canon R6 about 3 months after that.
Yeah.
A year after that, got a Canon R5.
Nice.
And that's what I'm currently using.
Nice. Interesting. So what spurred you on to buy the camera?
I guess I always had an interest in art in general, not just necessarily photography.
Okay.
And this was sort of coming out of COVID, and work was a lot of remote work, whatever. And like I just went into Henry's. The field I work in, a lot of people I work with have cameras they buy at Henry. So I just went in and I had no intention of buying it, and I picked it up, tried it. It was, I think, $800, and said, yeah, whatever, $800. If I don't like it, I could always sell it.
Right. So you just bought it and then you just started. Interesting.
Yeah, and then I just started. Obviously, when I first started in manual mode, and then I dove into a lot of YouTube videos, and on Instagram started following a bunch of people, and wanted to learn manual.
Yeah.
And, I basically one day went into a field with a tripod and just took one shot, changed one setting, took another shot with a different setting, took another shot with it, and then kind of went home and saw what all these different settings did.
Well, that's a great way to see, like, kind of like what happens when you change settings. Just kind of like the same shot but at a different setting, so you can see what happens, which is a good way to learn, I think, too.
So when I first started, it was lots of frustrations where you thought, okay, I had the settings mastered, and then you'd go home and it didn't look what you thought it was going to look like.
No. Interesting. So what did you shoot when you first started? Like what was it?
So I shot a bunch of stuff in my backyard, but then I went down to Tommy Thompson Park and just Like I was just taking shots of everything and anything. Like anything that caught my eye. These dried flowers, the the lake shore there, and just kind of started shooting all these different things. Really before, I don't know, everyone talks about having a style or finding a style, and at the beginning, I would just shoot anything and experiment with.
Right. And like I know that you said that you like it was frustrating. So how did you get through that period of like being frustrated with what you were doing?
So I would look at the shot and then say, I don't like this. Why could this have possibly happened? And really, YouTube's been a huge help. Not YouTube, sorry, Instagram, because I would reach out to local photographers, people that I started following and asking their opinion, and why did this happen? Or I'd watch some videos on YouTube, and sort of, and sometimes it was simple things like, your shutter speed was too slow, and really understanding the relationship between shutter speed and ISO, and raising your ISO so you can increase the speed of your shutter. And at the beginning there was this fear of, I didn't want to shoot anything outside of 100 ISO because it gets grainy.
Right.
But that's not necessarily true either.
No.
400, 800, I've shot as high as 6400 ISO.
Yeah.
So, learning what you can do with your camera and what it looks like, I think is the hardest part to get over.
Yeah, because it's a process. Like it doesn't happen overnight. Because people are so used to like having results instantly in this like day and age of just getting results in 2 seconds, that you do have to go through the process.
And I was pretty obsessive in the first year. Like I would go shooting every day, like half an hour, 40 minutes every day. And it was shooting whatever I could just to really start to understand the relationship between all the settings.
Yeah. So you're shooting what, like in the mornings, at lunchtime, in the evenings? Like what
evenings,
time are you on?
I mean, I work during the day, so usually evenings when I get home. Winters it's a little harder because it gets dark, and then I tried some night street photography, and that really didn't excite me that much, especially really cold temperatures. But I like late afternoon, sort of not sunset, but just before sunset is my favorite time, or like a half an hour after sunrise. Sort of that light is my favorite light to shoot in.
No, it's good that you said that, because I always say that you just have to keep practicing every day. Like even for me, like when I first started, I just shot at lunch at my work. So I called it like the 30-minute challenge, and just whatever I got in 30 minutes, that's what you get. But it kind of like just trains your eye,
Yeah.
More so.
And then, the more you shoot, and the more, like I started following a bunch of different photographers on Instagram, and see all these different styles, and you sort of start gravitating to different styles or different photographers, or and then you try and figure out what they do. Like I'd see photographs at the beginning, and I'd be like, wow, that's such a great shot, and how'd they do that? And then there's the whole Lightroom. And what happens in Lightroom is a whole other way. A whole other tool in photography.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess who are some people that have inspired you?
So I mean, there's a bunch of them. So Michael Sadowski, who Mind's Eye he's a Toronto photographer. That every time I look at his photograph, it just blows me away. Like it just his mastery of Photoshop and Lightroom, and really understanding everything. I mean, he has a book out. I bought the book. He's absolutely amazing. A gentleman out of Portugal, I think his name's Henry Prestes, or Henry Film, does some really moody kind of cinematic shots. Street photographer that early on, Billy D out of New York. does amazing street photography. I really like his
Yeah.
street photography. Fran Foreman, she does a lot of composite work with photography, some really moody stuff.
Right.
And then there's a bunch of local guys that, you know, I follow. A couple, I think one of them you've had on, Oliver
Yeah.
Duncan.
Yeah. Yeah.
His
Oh,
black and whites are absolutely
so good, right?
awesome.
Amazing.
Daniel Dunlop out of Kitchener, the
Yeah.
Statch. He's photography's awesome.
Yeah.
Todd Murison, who local photographer, who I'm in awe of his Photoshop skills.
Yeah.
And so those are the people I started, you know, and my buddy Andy Hoyle, who I go shooting with, who does a lot of long exposures, and I learned a lot off of him in terms of long exposure. I mean, I used to go and I used to do 15, 20-second long exposures, and you know, the first time I went with him, he's like, "I'm good. It's 3.5 minutes." I was like, well, 3.5 minutes. Anyway, so I learned a lot about the difference between 15 seconds and 3.5 minutes.
It's a big difference, right?
Oh, it's huge. Humongous difference. So
it's a big difference. How do you hold your hand so steady for 3 minutes? Well, let me tell you.
but yeah, so it's a bunch of different styles and different people that listen. I like photography, all kinds of photography. So
it's good. It's good that you kind of have that wide spectrum, right? That you're kind of exposed to all these kinds of different types, because it just kind of gives you like ideas.
Yeah.
And just different ways to like approach stuff, you know. It's cool that you started like only 3 years ago. So like before, like you were never into photography before that at all? The phone. So you just used your phone before that, eh?
Well, I really didn't do anything. I just take shots that I would use at work or whatever. I mean, you know, you go on a vacation, you use your phone to take a family picture. Nothing that I would consider photography.
Yeah. Well, there is a difference. I think, you know, I mean, the phone has you know, has made everyone a photographer in some people's eyes, and it's kind of devalued the craft, right? Where it's like, oh, just use your phone. And it's well,
I mean, there are some guys out there that use only their phone that produce some wicked stuff, but
but they also know photography too. It's not just a matter of just kind of like picking up the phone and just clicking and then putting the phone back in the pocket, right? So there's a difference to that, I think, and I think I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's not going to go away. I mean, the phones. I mean, it's going to get even crazier with like with AI now. So, you know, you gotta kind of keep. You know, you kind of have to make sure that people are aware of like, hey, this is like a craft. There is a process. There are techniques. There are things attached to it versus just, you know, pushing a button. So
there's a lot of. I mean, you brought up AI. There's you know, I see some beautiful images created in what's it called? Mind Journey.
Mid Journey.
But that takes away.
But it's not photography though.
No, it takes away the craft. They're beautiful images.
Yeah.
And I will comment on them and just call them for what they are. They're beautiful images. They're stunning, but it's not the craft of photography.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be. I mean, that debate's going to get even stronger, right? Photo now, video too. It's going to be AI. So
and really, tricky. You know, it's the same debate that, you know, film photographers had with digital cameras. Film is real photography because it's
well, that's true. That's another good point where people that are slowly film purists say, well, if you're using a mirrorless or DSLR, that's not really photography. You're just you know. And my other friend Tony, the other Tony, he asked you, have you ever shot on film?
Me?
Yeah.
No, not yet, but I'm going to.
Okay, so other Tony, he's going to. So what are you gonna use?
At some point, I'm gonna get a film camera.
Okay, what are you gonna get?
I have no idea. I've met a gentleman who has a Hasselblad.
Oh yeah.
And I love the way everything looks that he shoots. Everything's black and white, and it's beautiful work. So I you know, for what I like to shoot, I think a Hasselblad as opposed to you know, a street photography style camera for film. I probably a Hasselblad. Like I use Hasselblad film camera.
Yeah, I think using Hasselblad's always a safe bet.
It's just the slowing down process, right?
Yeah, well, even now film, it's going to be even slower for you.
No, that's what I mean. It's like film's gonna, you're gonna
It's
have
just
to
gonna, yeah,
sit and absorb your scene and figure out what you're gonna do. And
yeah. So like how would you like if someone asks you like what's your style, like how would you respond to that?
what's my style?
Yeah, like what's your style?
I guess
Let
I
me let
like
me pull
I
up,
like
pull up
photography
your
that
IG.
it's a mood.
Well, it's a
So,
definite mood. I'm gonna pull up your IG for the people that don't know, but yeah, there's a definite mood to it.
so,
Like
so
I
go
yeah.
on. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say there's like I don't know how to describe it. There's like a solitary mood to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's just yeah, it's interesting.
So I like to have so for me, mood is obviously very clear subject matter, lots of negative space,
Mm.
um, and almost I don't want to say loneliness, but a solitude
Yeah,
in the shots.
loneliness or solitude or solitaire or I don't know. It's just like a reflection, maybe
Yeah,
looking back, or something. Maybe sort of like a nostalgic feel to it.
some of them, some of
Yeah,
my shots have that. I think more of my black and whites have sort of a
yeah.
nostalgic feel to them than.
Mm.
And I started again. I've buried so many previous shots uh, on Instagram
Yeah.
that when I first started.
Is it
But
still
I
up
like.
there?
Pardon?
Are they still up there?
No, they're not.
Or you took them off, eh?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll put some back up, but um,
Yeah.
but at first I really liked black and white, and I
Yeah.
still have, black and white has a certain feel to it.
Of
Um,
course.
but as I got more and more into Lightroom and understanding what you can do with Lightroom,
Yeah.
like colors really started to uh, show up in my edits.
Mm.
And sometimes I look at the edits and like, I like almost like a surreal feel to some of the colors I use.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, maybe you should ease up on this, and maybe you should
Mm.
try doing a lighter edit, like a
How
more
do,
airy color.
how do you make that decision?
I don't, because I always say I'm going to do that, and then I wind up exactly at the same spot where.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
it's just it's what I mean, I don't know.
It's a feeling. It's what you feel the photo should be.
it's what my aesthetic pulls me to.
Yeah, exactly. It's a feeling. It's a gut feeling. Exactly. You don't really edit the photo. You kind of like edit the mood, in a way.
Correct. So when I first started, I read a quote from a photographer. It's a famous quote, David Allen Harvey.
Yeah.
Don't shoot what it looks like, shoot what it feels like.
Mm,
And that kind of stuck with me,
like that.
and sort of became a mantra. Like, it's about
I like that. That's
what
nice.
is
That's pretty
it
cool.
as you look through the shutter. What does it feel like? And if I don't feel anything, then
Yeah.
maybe I don't take the shot.
Mm.
But then again, I'm hooked to the sound, so sometimes I just press it to hear the sound.
Just just to have the crack.
My buddy Andy, on the
Yeah.
R5, you can go electronic shutter,
Yeah.
and there's no sound.
Yeah.
I tried it for about 4 shots, then I said, no, I got to have the
No,
sound.
you want the crack back. What is this? It's cool, man. I mean, are there any photos that you like, that you're proud of, or that have a cool story behind them that you kind of want to point out? There's some cool stuff here, man.
I mean, when I take all these shots, and you get home, so whatever's on my board, so that shot right there with the gentleman with that umbrella.
Yeah.
So that was down at the Scarborough Bluffs. I go there a lot because it's not far from where I live.
Right.
And he was there with 2 friends, and they were kind of walking around, and this umbrella was kind of floating on the beach, and then he picked it up, and like I was just ready. I had my settings ready. I had taken some test shots for shutter speed and everything, and then he just picked that umbrella up, and I just rifled off about 4 or 5 shots, and I really like that shot. It looks staged, but it's not staged.
You're at the right place at the right time, man.
Yeah, and I went up to him and introduced myself and told him I took the shot. And
oh, nice. That's good of you.
So any shots that I have people in, I generally go up and introduce myself.
Oh, you do?
Well, tell them I just took a bunch of shots and I'd like to send it to them. And
good for you. And what do they say usually?
Well, I just show them the shots in the camera, right? Most people are looking in the camera and they're like, "Oh, that looks cool." So
yeah.
I've been screamed at a few times. You should ask permission to take shots before you take them.
Well, you had the decency of actually telling them.
Oh yeah, no.
Most people won't even say anything.
No, I always get their email, or if they don't want to give me their email, I basically give them my Instagram account, and they can go check out my Instagram. And if they feel like sharing their email, then I'll email it to them.
Okay.
So I really like that shot, and there's
great shot.
And again, I really like fog. Like if there's fog, like I'm inclined to call in sick to work.
Were you out the other week when it was really foggy? Even like it was foggy today a little bit.
I was on a plane to Nashville.
Really?
Yeah, for work.
What was in Nashville? Oh, for work.
Yeah, I had
you take the camera?
No, I didn't take the camera because
what?
It was 4 days of intense work and then dinners after, so I would have no time.
Really?
Yeah.
You like Nashville?
It was okay. I'd like to go to Nashville with my camera and just, not necessarily the city, but I like go out into the countryside.
Get a car and go out.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful place, and the people are really nice, and the bourbon was pretty awesome. And
was it?
Yeah,
you could have took some product shots.
Yeah.
Some long exposures.
That part of bourbon's mystique is that it's filtered through charcoal.
Yeah. And
it's supposed to prevent hangovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's not true?
That is not true.
Really interesting. I wonder why there was some false advertising there.
Probably because they want you to enjoy it a little.
They want you to drink more?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow. Well, hopefully next time you go down there, you take the camera, right? Because some of these shots, man, like even some of these other people that you got, like, do you just like see a scene and then just like wait for someone to walk through it?
Yeah, a lot of times. So that lady with the dog, that's down at RC Harris.
Yeah.
And a lot of people walk their dogs there, and
I like it.
I kind of
like it.
Saw her wandering and kind of just sat at there's a fence there, this beautiful fence, and just sat and watched and waited and took a couple of shots, but that's the one that kind of drew my attention because the dog's kind of looking at something, but you don't know what it is. And
exactly.
And her hat, she had a beautiful hat on, and so she did have a blue poop bag in her hand that I kind of photoshopped out.
Yeah, I guess you would have to, right?
Yeah, it kind of stood out a little too much.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I like that a lot. Yeah, because that shot has like a little bit of mystery to it because the dog's looking back. Yeah, it's cool.
And so those colors were a little bit enhanced in Lightroom, but I like the late fall, early winter colors where you get those beautiful blues and greens and
right. Yeah. Even something like this I like too. That's cool.
So that's my buddy Andy that I go shooting with. And
okay, so he's Andy. Shout out to Andy for rocking that shot. I love the reflection though, eh?
I brought the umbrella. Well, he took the same shot, and it's on his Andy Hoyle pics. He has the same shot of me standing there with the umbrella.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's down here somewhere?
Yeah, it's in there somewhere. So a lot of the shots he has, so that guy standing there on that rock.
That's you?
No, that's me. He took that shot.
Yeah.
And then
so That's a cool shot, actually. It's almost like a comic book.
Well, I told him it's like a Canon ad or something.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it is. You're out in the wilderness taking photos.
Yeah,
Where
so
do you think this photo is of you think? I'm just curious.
So that's me standing there, right there. That's
Here?
yeah.
Oh man, you guys are crushing it.
Yeah. So that was I had to stand there 30 seconds motionless on that rock.
Oh jeez. Was it cold? Was it cold?
Yeah, it was pretty cold.
Well, good for you for doing that because it's worth it. Like what a crazy. This sunset, right? Sunset.
Yeah, that's sunset at that's at Frenchman's Bay in Pickering.
Oh yeah. Jeez, man, the sky's on fire.
Yeah, and it was pretty close to that. There's very little editing going on.
Really?
Where's this umbrella shot? Somewhere.
I'm curious now. Oh my god! Look at me.
So he does a lot of long exposures.
Yeah, just a couple.
Yeah. So maybe he took the umbrella down.
There's no way he did that. Andy, if you're watching, tell us that's not.
Yeah, he probably took it down.
Really? You should ask him about that.
Well, so that actually there was what. So I mean, I used to have like 800, 900 images in my gallery.
Yeah.
But when I go to people's galleries that have thousands of images, I don't want to go down.
You don't want to go down.
Like if I see, 150, 200, 250 images,
you kind of get it. You kind of understand the person's work.
So that's why I like to keep my images around 200 in my gallery. Just if someone's looking at your gallery,
yeah,
like 200 is not so bad to go down.
So you're constantly updating and refreshing the Instagram. Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people pin their favorite shots to the top of Instagram.
Yeah.
So if I have a shot, let's say I try to put similar shots pinned to the top. If someone likes the shot that you just posted, there'll be two of them similar next to it. So
right. Interesting.
You just kind of change them and.
Yeah. So how do you decide what goes off?
Next great shot takes a spot.
You're cutthroat, eh? It's like you're just killing your darlings.
No, listen,
killing your darlings.
As you evolve and you do. For me, it's all about I mainly use Lightroom 90%. I use Photoshop 10%.
Okay.
I do some composite work, not a lot. Generally, what you see is there. I don't like to add. I'll remove stuff more. I've added some things just for drama. Okay. But what I find, as I've learned Lightroom and experimented with it, your style changes, right? So I didn't realize you could. I've gone back and edited shots when I first took them and re-edited them now, and it's like, wow, that looks completely different. But it's just about, I guess, having a consistency, and I talk to my buddy Andy a lot, and you get stuck in. You want your gallery to look a certain way, and there's shots that I have that I think are decent shots,
right? But
maybe don't have the same mood as what I have in my gallery, and I won't put it up, and it'll just sit there. And I'll join Facebook groups and post some of my stuff there, but not necessarily post it to my gallery.
Interesting. So, like, do you show your photos elsewhere besides Instagram?
So I opened a Flickr account, but really don't use it that much.
Okay. So
I've joined different Facebook groups.
You show photos there
that have different focus. So like a minimal Facebook group, landscape Facebook group, street photography.
Okay.
Where I'll just, post some stuff in different groups just to post it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I was debating opening a Instagram black and white account. And I was like, what for? Like, it's just, this
Mm.
is all here. This
Pe-
is
people
stuff.
have 10 accounts sometimes. You'd be surprised.
You know, I have a hard time managing one account, never
Mm.
mind 10.
Yeah. Well, it becomes more work, right? It becomes
Yeah.
more of a admin kind of task almost.
Yeah, now, you know, I've tried Threads. I have a Threads account. I never post anything there.
Yeah.
Then there was, what was the other one? Vero?
Vero,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I, you know, have an account
Rest in
there.
peace. Rest in
But
peace.
yeah, like, it's just, you know, as much as everyone complains about Instagram, and there is lots to complain about,
Sure.
I think it's a great medium to share your work because, you know, 50 years ago, where would you share your work?
You'd have to print them and show them in a
Yeah.
gallery or something.
Yeah.
Well, that's the great thing about living in this age is that there are no more gatekeepers.
Yeah. And,
Really.
you know, the other thing, if someone's starting out, if someone's watching and starting out, and,
Yeah.
you know, when I first started, I was at the Aga Khan Museum just walking around and I saw a
Right.
photographer. I'm not shy. I walked up to him and introduced myself and
Beautiful.
asked him, like, can I ask you some questions? I'm just starting.
Nice.
And so he said, listen, if you want to get better, join a camera club in your neighborhood. Like, where do you live? And I said, I live here. So he recommended I join Don Mills Camera Club. So I did.
Nice.
And it's great because there's, you know, there's experienced people. You go on walks, and it's the same with, you know, Get Out Shoot that you're still part
Same
of.
thing. Yeah, same thing.
But it's you're around people that you share ideas, you share different techniques or different things that you weren't aware of. And I think it's a great thing to do. And I can tell you this is a true story. Brian, is it McGowan, your friend?
McGowan, yeah.
So when I first started, I had to work on a Saturday.
Okay.
And it was a foggy Saturday, and I was pissed off.
Oh.
I drove all the way to Brampton to go to the it was this course that I had to attend because someone else couldn't. So I went, and it was foggy, and I drove all the way up there. Anyways, it started at 8 a.m. I set everything up. It was the doctor was lecturing. I asked him, how long are you lecturing for? I'm going to lecture for 3 hours, then a break. Yeah. So here I was. I had my camera with me, got in my car, drove to this. I didn't know where I was in Brampton. Drove to this park, found this park, got out of my car, got my camera. In this 3 hours, I started shooting shots, and I met your friend Brian there.
Brian was there, yeah.
And he was shooting, and I went up to him.
Always there. Yeah, he's always out there.
And he told me about Get Out Shoot and all that stuff. And I started following you. I started following him and a bunch of the people that are on Get Out Shoot. So
there's so many people out there that kind of do the same thing, right? Like, you'd be surprised sometimes how many people are out there just to connect with.
You know, I never noticed how many people love photography or are out there shooting. Now that, you know, I like photography. Like, not a day goes by that I don't see someone with a camera walking in Toronto.
Yeah.
100%. There's a lot of people.
There are a lot. Yeah, you're right.
Canon, Sony, Fuji, they're all very happy because this stuff's not cheap.
No, it's not.
And there's price fixing. I can't believe you cannot negotiate on gear.
Yeah, it's difficult, if not impossible.
It's
tough.
Well, that's the only drawback to photography.
Mm-hmm. The pricing.
Yeah, it's insane.
I know. Well, not much we can do about it, I guess. I don't know.
Listen, I shoot Canon mirrorless. They're RF lenses. They haven't allowed anyone to make, you know, lenses yet, like Sigma.
Yeah.
So they, you know, listen, it's awesome gear. I love it. You know, would I do it again? Yes, 10 times over.
Of course. It's fun. You have fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the whole point of doing it, is because it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. You get, you know, exercise.
Yeah, you get to see stuff.
Yeah,
it's a reason to take a walk, meet people. Yeah, it's good that you're so, like, not shy about just approaching people, because some people are shy about that, you know. But that's good that you do that.
I'll go out of my way if I see someone with a tripod and a camera. I'll walk. I'll walk over and introduce. You never know who you're meeting, right? Like,
You never know. That's what I said. You just never know who you're talking to.
What you can learn from them or what you can share with them. I met a lot of people that way.
No, it's a good way to be, man. It's a good way to be because not everyone is like that. So I think that's good advice for people that are out there. Say, hey, what's the worst thing that they can say is like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, what's what's gonna happen?
Nothing. I've never met.
No one says that. No one says that.
And I've met some people. You walk up to them and introduce yourself, and they tell you their name. And it's like, okay, what's your Instagram handle?
Yeah, what's that name and Instagram? That's the first and second questions.
And a lot of times I'm already following them, and it's like, hey, nice to meet you.
I know, right? It's funny. It's funny, like the social world meets like the real world. It's like worlds are colliding kind of thing. But yeah, I think you're right. People are more willing to like share their knowledge than not. I think people are more willing to help other people because we're all kind of in the same boat. We're all trying to get to the same place eventually. We're just going about it in different ways,
Yeah, and and that's the part of photography. There's two kind of people in this world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Control freaks.
Okay.
And people that don't know they're control freaks.
Wow.
Everybody wants it their way. I'm a control freak. And photography, the hard part for me at the beginning was I didn't know I wanted to know the stuff, like why, how, and once you get to a certain base of knowledge, now it's about, okay, what else don't I know that I can add to this? Why didn't this do what I wanted?
Right.
And it's figuring out that little stuff that can keep, engaged for a long time, right?
You're always searching. You're always kind of searching for like the knowledge. Interesting. That's good. That's good. That's a good way to be because it's better than not wanting to know and just kind of like keep going the same way, right? Which
I know about this much in photography.
Yeah.
And there's a whole whack of stuff I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, it never ends though. That's the thing. Like it never, like there's always something else to learn. So it's not like there's like a finish line. I'm sure if you talk to people that are shooting in their 80s, they're probably still learning stuff in their like 80s, probably, right?
Well, I was down at the Brickworks. I met a gentleman there. Samuel Colbert, his name is. He's in his I think late 70s.
Yeah.
He was shooting and I was shooting, and we sat down, we went for a coffee.
Nice.
And I went to his place this weekend.
Oh, nice.
And he's been shooting since 1950. Like he started with film, and he still has all these cameras that he was using. And
cool,
his condo is just covered in prints, and he really inspired me.
Cool.
He's been doing it for 50 years. And the technology changes, but the passion didn't, if that makes sense. Like he was shooting film, now he's shooting digital.
Interesting.
He was shooting mirror. He saw my camera was mirrorless, so he just got himself a mirrorless camera in his late 70s.
Interesting. What a guy.
Maybe even early. Yeah, and I've gone out shooting with him, and so as the technology changes, because now the cameras are just going to get more and more technology in them, but
interesting.
That's why I think the learning will never stop.
Yeah. That's a great story, man. Wow. That's cool,
He has
1950.
He has in his place, he had a camera, I think it was 1902 or 1903.
No way.
Glass plate camera.
No way.
That was functional. It was functional.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Like it was huge. It was like the size of a stove. It was a big camera. The lens was about this around, and so it was about 2 foot by 2 foot box.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Right? From 1950 to now, it's like what, 70 some year?
Yeah.
It's a lot of photos, man.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
Awesome photos. I mean,
yeah.
And there's so many talented people that out there. Like, I mean, there's so many awesome photographers. you know, that don't share their stuff,
Right.
that just like taking shots and they don't want to post it anywhere. They don't, maybe they develop them and print them, but there's a
come
ton
you
of
think?
talented people.
How come people don't want to share though, you think?
I mean, I don't know. For me, it's you're creating art. I create to share. So,
Yeah.
is there a little bit of ego with that? Yeah, of course. Who doesn't want to, have people go ooh ah over your photography and what you've done with it?
Yeah.
I think that's part of the creative process. But that's nice. But the creative, I mean, for me, the external gratification is nice, but like I can take a look at my shots sometimes and I'll just sit there and go, I took this, I edited it, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, it's a good feeling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you do it for you, right?
Yes. I mean, that's how it all started, was just to
course.
create something that
Yeah.
I created this, right?
Exactly. That's what I tell people. You gotta do it for you. It's like, well, what does that mean? It's like, well, like, why did you start? Because you wanted to do it. You're not trying to impress
Yeah.
anybody else or prove something or whatever.
I mean, part of creating something is, I mean, these are shots. It's a camera, right? It's not like I'm painting and I can create like nothing, something out of nothing.
Right.
But you're still, I mean, in the process of photography and then editing it and then, cropping it to what you want, it's still a process of creation. Like you're capturing that moment that is gone now. Like you capture it and then you edit it and you create whatever feeling you want.
Yeah, you're documenting the time.
Yeah.
Which I think is a cool feeling sometimes, because you can look back on it in a year, 5 years, whatever, 10 years or whatever, 60 years, and say, oh, that's cool. I took that. I took the guy in the guy in the silhouette there and on Instagram.
Yeah. Like there's Canadian photographer.
Yeah.
Someone showed me Fred Herzog.
Yep.
Modern Color, awesome book. Film photographers, 40s, 50s, and 60s, based in Vancouver. And it's basically street photography, but it's awesome. Like it's just he documented that, and you look through it, and some of the shots are they're awesome. Like they're great to look at, these captured moments that will, so
it'll never happen again.
Unless someone invents a time machine.
Or that.
And then you still can't go back and to that moment, because it'll be a different moment because you're there.
Because you're there, yeah. It's cool. I think it's good that like you're in like the discipline of doing it constantly. So you're gonna have like a large body of work to like look back on and kind of just see like the growth, right? Which I think is super cool for you.
Yeah, I'd look back, I don't have any of my early shots up there, but like I look back at some of the shots, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
But it's part of the process. It's part of what I thought looked good back then. I know what I would change, right? Like I was always overexposed, blown out details. The depth of field wasn't there. I was either too close to the subject or too far. Right. Shutter speed was too slow. Yeah. But now if I want to motion blur, like it's intentional, right? Like it's part of the creative process. Back then it was like, I didn't want to do this.
So yeah, now you're doing it on purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good. Exactly. That's like the growth of it too.
That was a mistake. Now it's considered art because you do it on purpose. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes they're just happy accidents.
Yeah. Oh, tons of those.
Love the happy accidents. I got lots of those too. It's a great thing when it actually kind of works out. I mean, you didn't think it was going to.
Happy accidents for me.
Yeah.
When you got camera in hand and you're just walking around and you see something about to happen.
Yeah.
And capturing that moment and anticipating it. And
it's great, eh?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's sometimes you gotta be really patient.
Yeah.
But when you kind of have a shot lined up, you're just waiting for the moment. Yeah, you're like a sniper. Like,
gotcha. Yeah, I've sat on a street corner. So that one shot, if you scroll down or scroll up, Keep going. Keep going. So that gentleman there, that greenish yellow, that one there,
This is Union.
that's Union Station. This is a homeless gentleman. He had no shoes on. It was damn cold.
Mm.
And I kind of just hung out at this one spot, and I was actually not looking to shoot him. I was waiting for people to walk either from the light into the pillars or from the darkness into the light.
Right.
And then sort of he stood there, and I just kind of watched him and waited, and he was a lot more in the shadows. And then he finally went to stand there, and like I took the shot, and I liked it. And then when I got home, I was like, okay, let's see what we can do with this. And that's one of my favorite shots that I've just for the color and the light and that moment.
There's a definite like mood to this too.
Now I couldn't go up and introduce myself to him. I don't think he would have
liked you taking the shot.
No, I don't think he would have even acknowledged me. There was obviously some mental health going on, it was like -3 degrees. He's not wearing shoes. Like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like I wish I had a pair of boots to give him, but
yeah,
that was waiting 10, 15 minutes there, 20 minutes for something to happen at that spot. And then he just kind of wandered into there and
then boom, gotcha. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I mean, there's definitely an approach to what you're trying to do, right? And it doesn't happen right away sometimes.
How about yourself? When did you start?
I started like seriously kind of like probably like in 2016ish, I think. And then I just took some photos like on vacations and stuff, like on a little point and shoot, and then I came back and some people said cool shots. I said okay, and then I found Get Out Shoot, joined them, and then the rest is history. So again, it just shows the importance of like joining groups when you're starting out, like meeting like-minded people, being in like the right environment. I think it's super important, because if you're not in the right environment, or like not in the right group, or not in the right setting, it's easy to get like discouraged or like put off, or just kind of like, what the hell am I doing? So as long as you find the right group to be in, whatever group that is, then it will definitely help you out in like the long run, because you're gonna, again, in the end, it's like a photography is like a solitary thing, but it's also like a social thing at the same time,
Yeah.
So just depends on which way you want to go.
And there's moments where I want to be alone because you're going out to shoot something.
Yeah, it's like therapy.
When you go and I shoot with my friend Andy, we go out together. But sometimes you go and you want to get your shot and everyone's trying to shoot the same thing, right? But we have such different visions that a lot of times he'll be looking east and I'll be looking west. We're at the same place, and because we have different interests, right? So,
yep.
But part of me coming on your podcast,
besides our last names,
pardon?
Besides our last names,
yes. So I made a commitment. So I've been doing this for 3 years, and I was like, okay, this year. There's that whole imposter syndrome. It's like, okay, I'm not really that good. Like, I just started 3 years ago. Like, there's so many better people out there.
Yeah.
That have been doing it for longer.
Yeah.
And I made a commitment to myself.
Okay.
That I would put myself out there this year. And then, like 2 days later, you reached out to me and said you want to.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at the universe has spoken.
And I was like, you know what? I made a commitment. So yeah.
You see that? You see, like when you just like think about like what you want to do, you just kind of put it into existence, and then like that happens.
Yeah,
like that's weird, right? Like that's a little weird. That's a little weird.
At first, I was like, "Do I go on? Like I don't know."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, you said you wanted to do it, so here we are."
You see what you did, Tony? That's a great story, man. I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah.
But I think it just shows the importance of, again, like, yes, you do have to put yourself out there if you want to meet people, show your work, get feedback, all that stuff. Like, no one's gonna knock on people. Like, no one's gonna knock on your door and say, "Hey, did you take that shot on the weekend?" Like, that's not. You need to.
No. It's okay to be nervous and still put yourself out there. They can coexist.
Yeah, they can't. I mean, honestly, like it. I always tell myself, because imposter syndrome is like a big thing. I like every day I'm seeing podcasts about imposter syndrome, and it's become such a hot topic in like the creator space where you just assume that even like the top people in any industry, they get that.
So
They get it.
for my full-time job,
Yeah.
I've been in sales for like 30 years.
Right.
Like I sell things. And for the first 10 to 15 years, there'd be that little voice in my head that would say, they're going to figure out you suck and they're going to fire you.
Yeah.
The
first 10 to 15 years, you said.
Pardon?
You said the first 10 to 15 years you had that thought? Yeah.
I've been doing it for 30 years now. It's kind of like, I guess they haven't figured it out yet. I'm still here, so I guess maybe I know what I'm doing. So,
well, you know what you're doing after 30 years, yeah.
And that's a voice that happens in my head with photography, right? It's like it's only 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, but I've spent a lot of time, like you know that you got to work at something 10,000 hours to be good at it.
That analogy, yeah.
So that's in my head. 3 years. I've been going hard, but probably 5,000-6,000 hours into it. So
yeah,
you know, and then getting over that hurdle in your head. Okay, I'm there now.
Yeah. Yeah, like for me, it's like I don't know. I'm just speaking for me now personally. Like I don't know if I'll ever like actually tell myself like you've made it, or you've got to a point where you can say that like I don't have imposter syndrome. Like I think it's always going to be like a part of just like my DNA. Posture. I think so. I don't think it goes away. I think like the more that you're successful, the more like you may have that thought, but you're just better at handling that thought. You know what I mean?
It's I think a lot more people than we know probably have that supposed imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And you know, call it, everyone has self-doubt regardless of who you are. Like I mean, I would have to say Michelangelo probably had self-doubt at some point when he was creating.
Bet you did. I bet you did. Yeah, I think I've just been seeing a lot of podcasts about imposter syndrome. It's like even like the top people, man, and like in any industry, like they have it sometimes. So if they have it, then hey, guess it's just part of it. It's just part of what I think what we've signed up for. I mean, again, we kind of like touched upon like doing it for you and because it's fun and all of that, which it is. And then, you know, it depends on which way you want to go. Like, does someone want to make like a side hustle or a small business or full-time or part-time? Like, whichever way you want to go, like, there's all these hurdles you have to clear because, you know, once you kind of like branch away from just you and you want to work with other people and trying to make money, it becomes a little bit different, right? So
listen, I've been asked by relatives, oh, come and just take some pictures at my wedding.
Because you're the camera guy.
No, I don't want to take pictures of your wedding.
Yeah,
you should pay a professional.
Yeah,
because this is your moment here. Like,
right.
Pay someone that's what they do, is wedding photography.
Yeah,
like I'll sit in the background, snap some candid shots, whatever for you, but I'm not the guy that's gonna in the photo album that you're gonna look at when 30 years from now.
Yeah, it's tough being like the camera guy in the family because you're always asked to do stuff.
It's not my style. Like I don't.
Yeah.
The whole posing and the
It's not your thing. It's not your thing, and it's not my thing either. Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't do wedding either.
And listen, there's a ton of great wedding photographers out there that.
That's why they get paid the big bucks, man.
Yeah, and they make it look effortless.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you place value on that. Like I'm paying you, 10, 15 grand because you're going to deliver these results. And that's why you're paying that money. Right? It's all kind of about placing the value on what you do. It's not just simply of, picking up the phone and taking the shot. It's like, no, you're paying me for this. Like I was just talking to someone about like, it's so important to like, we were talking about style, but it's important to like be known for something. Like if you're known for something, people will pay you for that because they know that you're going to deliver on that.
Yeah.
Right. Because I always take the analogy of like, say like you're trying to get a job, but there's 100 people. you're the only person in that line of people that can do what you do. So if you're not going to hire me, you won't get what I do. So you're going to pay me because you know that I'm going to do this for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's so important to be known for that.
Completely get what you mean.
It's like, yeah, like you're going to pay me because, you know, you're not going to hire Jin because he can't do that. I can do it. So, but I mean, there's a process to get to that level, right? Where you're known for X, Y, Z. It's like, I'm going to hire Tony because this is what he does.
You know, and you know, in managing my sales team,
Yeah.
part of what we talk about is branding. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what's
so
your brand? But you know, I tell them, like, you could have expert knowledge in a subject matter,
Yeah.
but you got to know that you're the expert knowledge in that subject matter.
You have to know.
And that's the difference, right? Like,
yeah.
You can know the stuff,
right,
but not know that you're that you have expert knowledge, right? And that really changes the communication, right? Like,
yeah. You know, it's true, man. It's very true.
Photography. I think, you know, people that are experts know their stuff, and they know that they know it, and that's I think the difference, right?
Yeah, and I think people shouldn't gloss over even the most fundamental piece of knowledge because not everyone knows that.
No.
So don't even discount what you know, even though it could be very basic and very whatever. But some people don't know that, so you should definitely say, well, I know, you know, ISO shutter aperture, and some people just don't know it. So you never know. Again, it comes back to putting yourself out there, and like you never know who you're speaking with and what they need or what they want, because sometimes, you know, the universe lines up and it's like, oh, by the way, I need this or I need that, and you may be a good fit, right? So I think it's important to like not discount what you know. I think it's super important, man, because like it's easy for us because we've gotten such a routine that we don't even. It's kind of like driving a car. Like we don't even think about it. We just drive the car, but some people don't know how to drive, right?
Your camera becomes an appendage.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about like the whole branding thing the other day. It's like, well, you know, what am I known for? Like, what are you gonna, you know, they hire Paul. It's like, what's he gonna do? Like, what is it? Like, you know, because there's so much. If you're gonna apply for a job, it's like, well, tell me how you're different from the other 100 people, and what are you gonna say, right? So
the challenge in branding, and you know, I'm not an expert in this area.
Okay.
The challenge is to take that brand, and you have to communicate it to customers and potential customers.
Yeah.
Without communicating it, and they have to make that choice that that's your brand.
So you're not actually explaining what your brand is. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So my brand in my everyday job is knowledge.
Yeah.
I want to be known for that. So I want people, if they have a question and they don't know the answer, who are we going to call?
We're going to call Tony.
We're going to call Tony. Let's call Tony. Tony will know. And if he doesn't, he'll find out. But you can't go into a prospective client and say, you got to deal with me because I'm a know-it-all. So you have to communicate that to them without communicating it. So they check that.
But how would you do that though?
So like how would I do it? So
would you use like case studies, client references? Like what would you?
So you know, a quick and easy way. Like, so I deal in the medical field.
Yeah.
So you walk in. What do people usually say to you? How are you? How's your day? Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So what do I do is like, I'm great. I'm sorry. Was running a little behind. I was at another office helping them with something. There was a new study that I read. So you're sharing your third party the information, but you're saying that you know. And all you have to do is deliver once or twice to them. When they ask you to do something on knowledge, if you don't already know it, and I usually do research real quick. Within half an hour, I get back to them, and then that solidifies your brand, and you're done.
Interesting.
You gotta, and there's different brands. Different people have different, but it's that one thing that makes you different, right?
Yeah. It's also like a person-to-person thing. Like if they trust you, and if they trust you and they have a good feeling about you, then they're more likely to like do.
Is easy.
The rest, you know, it's a trust issue, right? Like, do I trust you?
No, but trust is easy.
Yeah.
Just say,
Maybe.
just say and do the exact same thing and deliver.
Yeah.
That's trust right there.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, I know we're veering off into different things.
No, it's good. No, I think it's important because people may want to do different things with their craft. I mean, it may not be photography; it could be something else. But if you're trying to deal
my
with people,
brand in photography is a Moody SOB, or the guy that does Moody photography.
yeah, like what's the brand? Moody SOB. That's why you pay me the big bucks.
Yeah.
I deliver mood. This is what I do. It also goes to the whole point of, especially if you're delivering photos or whatever, it could be like photos, video, art, whatever the art form is. It's important to have like our portfolio to show people. So it goes back to my argument of like show, don't tell. Like just say this is what I do and just present it, and
So
you like it, you don't like it,
at our Don Mills Camera Club, we had a photographer come in. I forget his name, but was an established fashion photographer. He's retired. He teaches at what used to be Ryerson, now is Metropolitan,
right.
in photography. And he shared his story about when he started, and he freaking had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah.
And getting paid the big bucks. And he said, like, he showed this one shot that he was like, I just did this. He told us what it was. It was like looking through some cellophane, crinkly paper, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he kind of just put it out there and put it out to the client. And oh, we love it. We love it. And he's like, took me 2 minutes on my dining room table. I did it. And but he talked about at what point you establish brand, but also have the confidence to say, okay, this is my creative vision. Yeah. This is it.
You're gonna have to put like a stake in the ground and saying this is what I kind of stand for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. The artistic vision, the ever going battle. Easy, I guess, easier said than done, but it's what we have to do sometimes. Yeah, because we're all people in the end, right? So, well, Tony, we're up against the hour, so I really want to thank you for your time, man. It was kind of like a fascinating conversation.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'd like to have you back on at some point.
Yeah, let me know
what you're up to.
And maybe one of these days I'll get out when you guys.
Yeah, come out to a meetup.
Get out, shoot, walk around.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of fun. Any parting advice for the listeners, watchers out there?
Parting advice?
Yeah, parting advice.
Just push through till you get it right.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, like that. It's a lot of wisdom behind that, and that's what got you through too, right?
Yeah. I was determined. I am going to create shots like I see that make me feel something. That was my That's what you want to do this year. Well, that's what's gotten me to this point.
Right.
Now I want to, see what the next challenge is. My next real challenge. I mean, I don't use Photoshop at all because I don't get all the layers and all that stuff.
Sure.
So that's one of my goals this year. My other goal is I'd like to have a show at a gallery somewhere at some point. Get a bunch of prints.
Yes.
And that's sort of my goals this year.
I like it. I think you're gonna crush them.
And it started by coming on this podcast.
Isn't that I'm so glad you told me that story because that's really weird. But anyway,
it's the truth.
It's good though.
100% the truth.
It just shows you never know what happens.
So I'm putting out to the universe that I'd want to win the lottery. Let's see what happens.
Well, let's see what happens there. That's a great way to end off. And if I don't see you, Tony, hopefully you have a great time in the Bahamas.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks everyone for watching this. Go check out Tony Instagram. The link is in the description. And we'll see you next time. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.